Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm very excited about today's live walk. We're gonna stroll around one of the most beautiful areas of the old town, the area of the National Opera and Ballet Theater. But first, let's do some window shopping. These four brown windows belong to one of the oldest remaining sections of Odessa's Palais Royal. There is Palais Royal in Paris, which is translated as the Royal Palace. That was the residence of the Richelieu family. And this is Odessa's Palais Royal. This is a cheese store. And this is a very interesting shop, Benya Zubrik. They take the images of the famous brands, or just the famous brands. They play with the words and with the letters and come up with funny things. And one of the oldest pharmacies where they speak English. And now let me walk up these steps and tell you more about Odessa's Palais Royal. For the first 40 years of city's life, this was a field which was used by soldiers to practice trainings. When the city was about 25 years old, they established the free economic zone in Odessa's port, and that boosted trade. The first shops were open on central streets. Soon, the local government decided to take this square and to design here 3 streets of privately owned shops. Totally, here were 44 shops which faced the main street. Above the shops, the owners had their apartments, a cellar and an attic. This is some of the oldest remaining section of that shopping area with the shopping windows which I've just shown to you. The houses here unfortunately haven't survived the World War II. This is a Soviet time apartment building. So once the shops were finished, a beautiful park was created in their backyard, and people decided to call it Palais Royal, Royal Palace. During the Soviet times, the name was of course changed. The area was named Charles Darwin Park, but not many locals remember that Soviet name. These days, it's again officially called Palais Royal. Here's a beautiful old statue, piece of the city's heritage. This yellow building has been occupied by the Church of the Mormons. And over there are some of the most popular among the local restaurants. When the weather is nice, the sidewalks here are packed with the tables, the chairs that belong to these restaurants. And this becomes a fountain. It's just that all fountains are shut down till the middle of April. We have heritage buildings and heritage trees. This is an old sycamore or plane tree, which is the heritage tree, and it's one of the main kinds of the trees in the city. The others are chestnuts and acacias. And now I'm walking towards this magnificent building in the front, which is one of Odessa's iconic sites, the National Opera and Ballet Theater. But before I talk about the theater, let me show you this new apartment building. It was built around 2004 and became one of the most expensive new apartment buildings in the city because it's new and because of the location. Imagine living in this building and having a chance to listen to the rehearsals of the opera performers. Construction companies try to stick to the colors and to the style of the old town when they design new apartment buildings in the city center. And now let's talk about Odessa's iconic site, the National Opera and Ballet Theater. This is the most expensive building in the old town. Built in 3 years from soft limestone. It was designed by Austrian architects, but the project was modified by main city architects. In fact, this is the second building of the National Opera and Ballet Theater. The first municipal theater, as this is how it was called in the 1800s, was built exactly here when the city was just 16 years old. Imagine a 16-year-old city got a proper municipal theater which looked like a Greek-style temple. When the city was about 35 years old, Italian opera became so popular that even carriage drivers knew how to sing most famous parts of opera in Italian language. That first theater burned with fire in 1870s. The decision was made not to restore the old building, but to initiate a contest for the best project of the new theater. It took the city's administration almost 10 years to select the best project and 3 years to build this building. And the money came from the city and was donated privately. This is a 3-star hotel, and here's a beautiful apartment building. When this theater was finished, it was included by the theater critics to the list of best theaters in Europe, together with Grand Opera in Paris, Vienna City Opera, La Scala, and this one. And this theater has seen pretty much all big names in opera and ballet and classical music of the late early 1900s. The second floor of the theater is decorated with the 4 busts. This is one of them, to Gogol. He symbolizes the drama. Now I'm gonna walk towards the facade of the theater to show you the theater from the front. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Why I've decided to do this live stream so early? Because I just finished a virtual tour and I was here in the city center, so I decided to record the live stream right after the virtual tour. It's a little bit easier for me in terms of scheduling. So 8 o'clock in the morning, that's why it's so quiet. So here's the facade of the opera theater. We call the theater the cake because it's completely round, it's richly decorated, and because of the colors. The rooftop of the theater is the highest rooftop in the old town. In the 1800s, the square in front of the theater was the busiest place in the city. Over here, instead of the trees, there was the city's administration, where people came to do business during the day. The building was destroyed during the World War II bombings. Across the road, let me slowly turn around. Over there was the French restaurant with the only in the city casino. Then people took it as a must to go to the municipal theater, and then on the opposite side of the square there's the English club. So what else could you possibly look for? There was a place to do the business. There was one of the best restaurants in the city, the casino, the municipal theater, and the English club. The buildings of the French casino with the restaurant and the city's administration didn't survive the World War II bombings. So after the war, the spots were converted into the memorial places with the names of the locals who became heroes of war and were nominated with the highest rank medals. Let me zoom in and give you a close-up on the walls. So the star with the red ribbon is the highest rank medal, which was given to people during World War II, to people who demonstrated extreme courage on the battlefields. And the list of the locals who were awarded with the highest rank medals during World War II. And over there are the heroes of labor who worked at factories 24/7. And here's the Mozart restaurant. These trees are also heritage trees. They're called the Japanese Saffora. The theater is located on the crossroads of Langeron and Richelieu streets. The streets are named after 2 prominent Odessa's governors who were here in the 1800s, in the first half of the 1800s. The anchor, which decorates the main arch of the opera theater, is the coat of arms of Odessa. The theater, the last restoration works of the theater finished in 2007. The theater stood behind the scaffolding for about 10 years, and while the theater's restorations were happening, the city and some businesses restored the facades of the houses on the square of this house, and they added the top floor, the building of the Mozart Hotel. And in 2004, that was one of the most posh restaurants in the city. They restored the memorial walls, and this became one of the most beautiful spots in the city. It's a very expensive Palais Opera, which is the retail store, didn't survive the pandemic. Originally, in the late 1800s, here was a publishing house of one of the leading Odessa newspapers, and among the journalists who worked there was a prominent Jewish revolutionary, Zeev Zhabotinsky. Let me cross the road so that you can get a better view of the restaurants. Is an entrance to the boutique hotel and a restaurant called Happiness. And the Mozart Hotel across the road, and this place is famous for its desserts, croissants, and sandwiches. And here is the Salieri Cafe across the road from the Mozart Hotel. A very popular restaurant among Odessa's locals. With the Black Sea fish, local cuisine, Odessa's cuisine, Italian food, and some traditional European dishes, and a 50% discount on all meal. This looks like a southern Italian decoration, the lemons, but these are of course the fake ones. This is a Soviet time apartment building. This area was bombed heavily when World War II started. So the buildings which didn't survive the bombings were replaced with the Soviet buildings in 1950s. This is one of the most popular restaurants and one of my favorite places to eat, the Maman. Famous for its local cuisine, but they also have the most common and popular European dishes and some Asian food as well. Such mix is very typical of Odessa's restaurants. Here's a very beautiful building designed in a pseudo-Gothic style. Since the Soviet time, it has been turned into the offices. Originally, it was a building with apartments for rent. And here is another old section of Odessa's Palais Royal. These days it's been turned into a church. The Jesus Christ Evangelist Church. And the bank. And here I've come to the point where we've started our walk. For more in-depth exploration of the city, join our live walk with a quiz. The link to book is in the description to this video. Till next weekend, bye for now.